summarize, keep three things in mind. Ask yourself why, include stories, include emotions. I'm going to give you three examples. One of the first example, let's say a program or a scholarship asks us you describe an incident or time when you took an initiative in the face of a challenge that did not work out as you had hoped or expected. What actions did you take and what did you learn from that experience? And so I'm going to use one of your classmates actually as an example. So 2 weeks ago, the student said, I care about my friends. Is there something we can do here to directly help you with your project? We can talk about the school directly to grant us some funds. And then he spent some time gathering information and making calls. And then him and his friends approached the school and requested financial aid. And so do you see, I don't even know the whole story. And I have used 3 full sentences to describe the event. But from the student's perspective, he knows what he was feeling and why he felt motivated to advocate for his friends. So once he adds his side of the story to these 3 sentences, I just said, I will have like proof that he, one, is passionate about advocacy. Second, that he's passionate about helping others, putting others' needs before his, and third, his initiative and willingness to spring into action. So if he had just written, I'm passionate and I care about others, what am I going to do with that information? It's not enough. So that is what I mean when I say, give me an example, like a story, why you felt to act, what motivated you. And it doesn't even have to be a very long event. In this example, this incident took like 2 to 3 days only. Another example that I want to give you was a response to one of my questions that I asked in my application. One of them was, what is your community involvement? And so in addition to what you guys said already, you can flesh it out, add more details to your response. I have a good example response that I have written here. I'm going to read it. I tutor 4th graders in their math and reading homework. I began tutoring at Madonna Mission because students in this program are children of immigrants. As a child of an immigrant, I wanted to provide educational support and stability to students younger than me. For instance, I tutor a student named David every week. David used to be a very distant child when he joined this program. As the weeks progressed, he began to open up and share how his school day went with me. One day, as I was preparing a lesson plan, he ran towards me with a paper on his hand and a prideful smile on his face. He received an A on his math test and wanted to share the news. Instances like this have made tutoring fulfilling. So you see, I have included a specific story here, included why I tutor, why I find it fulfilling. And the response also shows the impact in the community because the student, David, is getting good grades, and it's most likely because this person is helping them. And so you see, I didn't even write, I am a hopeful person, but the reader will have an idea who this person is from this writing. نسب ብዙሕ ግዜ ንሰብ ዕረፍቲ ክህብ ዝደሊ ሰብ ከም ዝኾነን ክፈልጥ ኽእል እየ በዛ response ጥራሕ. Okay. Last example is, this was the best response that I got in my application. I asked you guys how you spend your free time, and this person talked about what they watch on TV, what subject she likes, the book she likes, the music she likes, and what about music she loves, and her favorite movies as well. And the reason why I love this response was because she was listing specific movies, books, and subjects. For example, she said Good Will Hunting is her favorite film, and it's mine too. So I'm like, okay, they're like the connection is made, right? If I had an interview process in my application, I would select this person to move on to the next round. So I can ask, for example, why she likes The Age of Wonders and why she finds psychology fascinating. So this is just an example. And one thing I would say to this person, hopefully you're watching this video, is you explain what about music you loved. But if you're going to send this response to someplace else, I would also include why you find psychology interesting. Just one sentence is enough. Another thing that I want to say is, you might be asking yourself, if there's no wrong answer, then why are people rejected? And that is most likely because they're not aware of certain criteria. So read what the application is asking you. If a scholarship specifically tells you they prefer students with community service involvement, but if you do not have it, or you do have it, and you talk about your 4.0 GPA throughout the whole time, you're completely missing the point of the question. And a bunch of organizations have different criteria. So once you read the criteria and understand what they're asking, make sure that you're writing your responses in a way that does touching some of these ideas and topics that they want you to include. And I'll be listing one of the main ones in a later slide, but for now, I will use the Wendell Trust International Scholarship, for example. The Wendell Trust International Scholarship has a program called Undergraduate Scholarships in Sudan. And I found this on their website, actually. So They said scholarship recipients are expected to put what they learn into practice in the future for the benefit of their communities, regions, and to the broader window community. A previous track record of community involvement will be considered favorably. So what does this mean? It means they want to see if you have done anything to benefit the Eritrean community or the Sudanese community in the past, and if you plan to do that in the future. So they just want to see okay? And you can't simply say, yes, of course, I'll do something that benefits my community in the future. If you don't have an example of it in the past, there's no way for me to trust what you're saying, right? And so this is a chance for you to show you put others' needs before yourself. And some other places have different criteria in addition to the service orientation that I just read. So this is not all there it is. They look for other competencies in students as well, but this is just ones that show up the most. The first one, service orientation, I just talked about it. Second one, culture competence. This just means that you think about issues that affect you and others in the world. So as think about social justice issues that affect you as an Eritrean, as an immigrant, as a person who lives in Sudan. Social justice means fairness, distribution of opportunities and wealth in society. So just think about that when you're writing your response. Second one, sometimes they ask for teamwork, and essentially they just want to know that you work well with others. People can depend on you to complete tasks when you're working on something, that you can be a great leader and offer others support. The other one, resilience and adaptability. They want to know that you don't easily give up when there are problems. The last one, written communication. For this one, as long as you reflect on things and hopefully apply what I just told you to write your responses, you should be able to satisfy written communication criteria. As I mentioned, this is not all there is to it. There are more criteria. These are just like examples and points you should keep in mind as you write your responses.